This is the Bat Flip Podcast. Now here's your host, Damian, David, and Matt.
Welcome in to the Bat Flip Podcast. This will be the quick flips for the Ryan McMahon trade that happened earlier today. My name is David Westergreen. I'm solo today because nobody else is off work yet, and I have a chance to do it, so we're going to do it right now and talk some Ryan McMahon and some New York Yankees. Pretty exciting stuff, I think. This trade dropped about noonish today. Ryan McMahon getting traded over to the Yankees in exchange for pitching prospects Griffin Herring and Josh Groves. So the Rockies picking up two pitching prospects. You know, looking at these prospects from that Rockies perspective, obviously we talked about the Rockies and they're pretty poor, they're pretty poor farm system and pitching development group for a long time. They get a guy in Griffin Herring who, looks like a major league caliber pitcher, still at A-ball level, right? 22 years old, a guy that I think can probably flourish in the right system, but it's been a troublesome time for the Rockies to develop someone in the right system, right? So, Griffin Herring, and then the other guy was Josh Groves. He was number 21 in the Yankee system on pipelines, number 8 and number 21 for Ryan McMahon. Groves also like an A-ball pitcher, right? Good fastball for both of these guys, but not anybody that I don't think the Yankees are going to miss, right? The Yankees have effectively taken themselves out of other third basemen on the market with this trade, but I think the big prize is Ryan McMahon, right? And in this deal, McMahon moves to the Yankees. He's going to solve that third base hole for the Yankees. Left-handed hitter is Ryan McMahon. He's typically played at Coors Field with Colorado that whole time. That he's a guy that typically underperforms league average when you've got that Colorado negative tug at his overall numbers, right? He's a guy that's got a career 89 WRC plus, but the overall batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage, those types of things it's pretty good, right? And he usually hits about 20 home runs a year. He's already at 16 this year, so he's probably going to set a career high in homers, which is I think 24. This guy he's been a good defender at third base for a really long time. He's a really solid defender over there. He's pretty good at picking it, and I think the Yankees have really desperately needed somebody like this, right? DJ LeMahieu has been kind of moonlighting it at third base. They've been using Yorbit Vivas at third base. Third base was a big need for the Yankees, and Ryan McMahon is the kind of guy that, you look at him, you're thinking, well, if as long as he can pull the ball with some power, he's going to have success at third base. And with the Yankees, I think this fit is actually probably his best fit in general. You consider that Ryan McMahon is might be a product of Coors, the power, the numbers overall. It's one of those things where he strikes out a lot and it's a little bit scary, but if you put him in that lineup there and Judge, with Cody Bellinger, with Giancarlo Stanton, Jazz Chisholm, I think he can potentially flourish. I think he can kind of hide where he's not the main guy. And then if I can show the comment, there we go. Damian said it's a couple years too late, right, for Colorado to be trading somebody. And, my co-host for this Bat Flip podcast is absolutely correct. I think that's kind of my next point that I'll lead into. But, finishing off the Yankees side, I think Ryan McMahon solves a lot of the Yankees problems at the third base position. They've been glaring this season, and they are now sitting let's see if it pulls up. Yeah, sitting a comfortable 4.5 games behind the Toronto Blue Jays for the AL East, right? So this is I think, a big swing by the Yankees. A little bit questionable in terms of whether the Yankees are going to continue to purchase position players at this trade deadline. I think they certainly could. A few more gaps. There were some rumors that maybe they were looking to move Ben Rice and hunt for a DH. I ultimately think this might be their only move at that the position player group. And they can go out and hunt for starting pitching. I think Mitch Keller is another really good potential fit for this Yankees team because they do have that ace caliber pitcher, the guy you're comfortable with throwing in game one in Max Fried. They gave him a lot of money this last offseason. So they don't necessarily need to hunt those bigger names that are going to be thrown around, but they will, I think, be hunting for some control, someone with some lockdown, pitches, but that isn't you've got valued as like a high end starter. I think Mitch Keller works there. I think Sandy Alcantara potentially works there, presuming the Marlins are thinking that he's a middle pitcher, right? A middle of the rotation starting pitcher right now instead of an ace caliber pitcher like he was a couple years ago. But maybe Dylan Cease also, if the Padres start to get crazy. We've seen that rumor get thrown around a little bit more. I think the Yankees obviously have the financial might to go out and flex and get a guy like Dylan Cease to pair with Max Fried in the rotation. That makes a lot of sense. But for the Rockies side of things, this is as Damian said, right? It's a move. It's a couple years too late. The Ryan McMahon value train has kind of left the station. And so being able to only grab a couple of top 30 prospects, they're really probably not even top 200 prospects in Major League Baseball at this point, it's useful for a team as devoid of pitching as the Colorado Rockies, but it's really not a game-changing trade. And the Rockies probably could have capitalized on Ryan McMahon's value a couple of years ago, back when he, initially signed that extension, and then the team kind of went off the rails a little bit. He was still one of the most valuable pieces, and there was a lot of upside there. But as I go to pull up the splits for his away and home, they are stark this season. And that's the one I think I want to point at the most right now, is that right now away from Coors Field, Ryan McMahon is running a 37% strikeout rate. He's got a 64 WRC plus away from Coors Field. And I don't know that that's not just him preparing for Coors Field and then, the difference in preparation of not Coors Field and Coors Field. He's hitting for a 114 WRC plus at Coors Field, 248 batting average, 365 on base, 491 slug. The base counting stats for those interested: he's got 11 of his 16 home runs at Coors Field. He's got 75 strikeouts away from Coors Field and just 52 there. So, it's certainly concerning for me in terms of the potential production for Ryan McMahon. But again, I think the Rockies had opportunity to move him years ago, are now moving him at, I would say, 25 cents on the dollar, right? They got some useful prospects, but neither guy I don't think is a potential star, right? Maybe potential major leaguers, but in Colorado, right? It's going to be tough for those guys to excel, unless Colorado changes something regarding their pitching development. The Yankees have been able to farm out pitchers. They've been able to make trades out of that pitching development group for a really long time. That's been a strength of the Yankees for years. They execute it once again. Overall, I think this trade it's a win for the Yankees. They needed that third base production. And even if Ryan McMahon struggles to make contact a little bit, he can hide in this lineup, right? It's still a good lineup. It's a lineup that has lengthened now with his presence. And, even if he just hits, 5 to 10 home runs down the stretch, that's probably 5 to 10 more home runs than they were going to get from the third base position anyway. The Yankees fans are going to ask, why didn't they wait and trade for Eugenio Suarez, right? And I think that's the kind of the elephant in the room here, is that they pulled this trade off, right? It's July 25th. We've got 6 days till the deadline. Eugenio Suarez is sitting there. The Diamondbacks just indicated they were selling like last night, right? Traded Josh Naylor. So, it's obviously Suarez is available, and he seemed to be the better fit, especially given that, the Yankees have Cody Bellinger. They have some other left-handed guys in the lineup like Ben Rice, who can provide that left-handed pull power at Yankee Stadium. But I think the Yankees are hoping to solve this issue longer term, and pulling a guy like Ryan McMahon, who does have 2 more years of control on that extension he signed a few years back. It's a good way to do that. So that's basically all my thoughts on this deal. I think overall, right, the Yankees have gotten better. They're going to try to chase down the Blue Jays. They're certainly a playoff contender if we get to that point. They will certainly add in the rotation. They'll certainly add in the bullpen at this deadline. I don't think Spencer Jones is getting traded, right, Yankees fans? Like, I don't think they're going to move those top prospects, but I do think It's a team that's going to get better in the next 6 days, and they're going to continue to get better. Rockies, I mean, they need to get realistic, right? They finally got realistic with Ryan McMahon. It wasn't going to, he wasn't going to change into a superstar player that was going to be traded and net them, superstar caliber prospects. They took what they got finally. They need to do that with a few of the bullpen arms. They probably need to do that with a few more players on this team, try to turn around what has been a very lengthy and difficult rebuild in Colorado. And then, that's about it with this trade. I will mention that Gregory Soto was also traded today to the New York Mets. That's a fascinating deal because the Mets are going to be one of those teams hunting bullpen arms. The bullpen outside of Edwin Diaz and Reed Garrett has been pretty not good over the last couple of games, and then they're back in the lead in the NL East by half a game over the Phillies. So taking a bullpen arm off of the table that the Phillies would have been hunting for, I think, is a good move by the New York Mets. Soto should be a really good option, I think, going forward. He throws like 99 right from the left side, 30 years old, pitching for Baltimore this year, and he had a 3.96 ERA, 3.34 xFIP, 3.29 FIP. So he's a little bit what Matt likes to call it. He's outperforming his peripherals, right? But 44 strikeouts in 36 innings, 18 holds and 1 save so far this year. I mean, he slots into the 7th to 8th inning really nicely for New York in front of Edwin Diaz, provides that different look from the left side, and takes a really good reliever off the board for some of these other contending teams. So, apart from the potential Cleveland sale of Clase, Cade Smith, and some of those other guys, the bullpen looks a little barren. And this level and this caliber of reliever, I think, is going to be scarce, right? Guys you can definitely slot in the 7th and 8th, but you probably don't have to pay an exorbitant price for. The Mets sent pitching prospects Wellington Aracena and Cameron Foster over to the Orioles. I don't think either of those guys was in their top 30. If I have to look, it was the New York Mets. Yeah, those guys weren't even in the top 30 on Pipeline. So effectively no cost, right, for a good left-handed reliever. So, the Orioles, they're going to start to sell these pieces. I think that's a clear indication of their motives at this deadline. Look for Charlie Morton to go, look for Seranthony Dominguez to go, look for Cedric Mullins to get traded as well, probably Ryan O'Hearn. The Orioles are definitely a team that can turn things around for next year with some well-placed deals here at this deadline. This one doesn't really affect the near future. I don't think either of those pitching prospects is going to do a whole lot, but certainly some lottery tickets for Baltimore to try to cash in on. And, so that'll be our quick flips for Friday, the July 25th deals. If anything else breaks tonight, Damian and Matt will be back on with you to cover that. And we'll see what happens. Please do tune back in on Monday. We're going to do kind of more of a deadline primer, try to identify some of the deals. Maybe we'll go back and hit on a few of the things that we've talked about in these last couple of quick hits, quick flip deal episodes. But other than that, we'll see you guys on Monday for the live and then Thursday for the live stream. I do want to note that. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, follow us on Twitter. We're trying to make a push for some extra YouTube subscribers. So if you're on Twitter, please come over to YouTube, subscribe there. We're going to be on live all afternoon next Thursday, July 31st. I don't know if we've announced it yet. I'm announcing it now. It's what we're going to do. Probably from like 1 o'clock onward, 12:30 potentially. And we'll try to cover all of these deals, but we're going to keep on trying to hit these quick flip deals and cover up all the deals and with this deadline. So like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on Monday, hopefully. Otherwise, we'll be back if there's anything breaking. Peace.